Thank you. Well, we brought you this horrendous story earlier this week. This man, a former Ohio teacher facing sex charges involving more than 20 first-grade girls. 25-year-old John Austin Hopkins was indicted earlier this week. His potential victims were identified through security footage beginning in December 2018. And that's when the gym teacher was accused of having contact with a student. He's charged with 36 counts of gross sexual imposition with 28 girls. He is in jail right now awaiting trial. Well, and why he may eventually go to prison if convicted of these crimes. What happens to the victims, the families? Where do they even begin to become whole again? Kristen Johnson joins us again from Charles Boyk Law, along with attorney Wesley Merillat. The firm is representing some of the girls and their families. Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us this morning. So, a tough case.
Very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. Very complicated.
Yeah. Tell me your involvement and what you can tell me about this.
This is a case in Southern Ohio. The family reached out to us because of our involvement in these types of cases. And what I can tell you about the case, although some of it is confidential, it does involve numerous girls. 28 girls were identified on 90 days of video footage. We believe that there were more children prior to that 90 days that could have been identified, but the video was on a loop.
Wow.
So this was happening in the school, right in front of the administration, on tape, and the individual had a security camera installed outside of the gym where he could see people approaching and it would alert him. So it's a very a tragic case all around.
So we talk about the criminal case that's going forward, but you're on the civil side of things, so kind of explain the difference here.
Right. So the prosecutors, the police will investigate this case, and that's where it currently is at. He was indicted. The prosecutors will take over and pursue those criminal charges. On the civil side, we pursue the damages suffered by these individual children and by their families. So we are looking at the pain and suffering that a sex abuse victim or survivor goes through. We're looking at counseling costs, medical treatment, trauma, physical trauma, treatment for that they've suffered, and then any financial loss. So that's where we come in and pursue those claims on behalf of those individuals.
Gotcha. So I think a lot of times we think about the criminal case and the time that these folks could spend behind bars, but we don't often think about taking a different route to also recoup some of those damages.
I think that's something that eludes a lot of individuals. They see this as a criminal type of crime, something that is pursued and handled by the police, but there's an entire civil side to that. And we're seeing a little bit more with the media spotlights on Michigan State cases, the Penn State cases that are bringing some of this to light. But sex abuse victims and survivors do have a civil course of action. And
can these go right alongside the criminal case, or do you have to kind of wait until the criminal case is over before a civil case can, how does that work?
Those cases can be pursued separately. Often survivors won't even approach the police. So it isn't necessary. It's encouraged, strongly encouraged. Police are in a position to gather evidence quickly, much more faster than on the civil side. They can preserve that evidence, DNA tests that could be critical on the civil side, but the civil case can be pursued separately.
And in a civil case, when we think about a criminal case, it's beyond the reasonable doubt, or the threshold. Is there a lower threshold to be able to convict someone in a
right? And I think that's some of the hesitation that some victims, some survivors have. They watch television. They think that they see all these individuals getting acquitted from sex crimes, and it's a very high burden on the criminal side. On the civil side, we call it a preponderance of the evidence. It's just more likely than not, the evidence suggests that the individual was a victim. Right.
So if somebody is a victim here, and Kristen, what should people do? What can people do?
Yeah, first they need to seek safety. So, get out of the situation, get out of the home. If it's in a school, get away from that situation. And then there's several community resources that people can reach out to that can help. And then, of course, we encourage everyone to reach out to the police. As Wes said, they can help in a situation like this. And then if they feel that they're in a position that they need counsel or need someone to represent them, reach out to someone like us at Charles Boyk Law law in the community that can help.
So we'll watch as this particular case kind of works its way through, and hopefully if there was something tragic here, which, as you said, there's some strong evidence here, these families can try to move forward and become whole again, try to heal as best they can.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for coming in and explaining all of that.
You.
Thank you so much. Well, there's more Your Day to come. We'll be right back. Stay with us.